Does experience itself corrupt us? Does experience itself taint us? Or do we, getting lost in all of the hubbub, just turn ourselves inward? Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in two different playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, and now over 700 videos strong, and number two being the Emily Dickinson playlist. Today's poem is called "The Soul Should Have." The soul should always stand ajar, and it reads as such. The soul should always stand ajar, that if the heaven inquire, he will not be obliged to wait, or shy of troubling her. Depart before the host have slid the bolt unto the door, to search for the accomplished guest, her visitor no more. So, this is to say, the soul should always be open, because if heaven comes a knocking, I think you understand what that means. If you should die, heaven should not be obliged to wait or shy of troubling her. If you are visited by death, if death comes to you almost as if running an audit and says, boy, if we take you now, there's going to be some trouble, isn't there? You need some time to change things around. Depart before the host have slid the bolt unto the door. Remember, it should stand ajar. To search for the accomplished guest, her visitor no more. Basically saying you should always keep the soul open, because the easier it is for heaven to get in, the easier it is for goodness to find you, the easier it will be for things to go good upon the time that heaven has to have you. Again, I think that Emily Dickinson's sort of troubled relationship with religiosity is shining through in this poem. Certainly, there are schools of thought in Christianity. I'm not as well versed with Islam or Judaism, but there are sects within Christianity who think that whether you're going to the good place or the bad place after you die is predetermined. You have no say. There are those who think that there is a tally upon your soul, so that, okay, well, you've got 3 pluses and 4 minuses, going to be a rough ever after. There are all sorts of gradients in the middle there. And Emily Dickinson here is presenting ideas that aren't really all that palatable, are they? What does it mean for the soul to be ajar? For the soul to be open? I think that part of what is stated here is that you should have, obviously, the soul, the heart are kind of one and the same when talking in this way. Maybe not exactly the same, but the Venn diagram there is pretty convincing. It's a much more common term to hear that someone's heart is closed. What does that mean? Normally, it means they've been through some pretty bad stuff and decided the rest of the pain is not worth taking. I'll just close off and not accept any more pain. This poem reminds me of a couple of different terms. The idea in the poem is that there is a point in life where you do shut your soul. There is a moment during your time in this world where you will shut your heart. Hopefully, Heaven visits before then. There is an idea, and I got both of these off after prompting an AI. So, the age of accountability is a religious and theological concept primarily found in Christian thought that refers to the age at which a person becomes morally responsible for their actions in the eyes of God. Before this age, the child is not held fully accountable for sin and is therefore considered innocent or safe in the case of death. This makes me wonder if what this poem is suggesting is that there should be an age of accountability and then an age of post accountability. Is it really all that difficult to understand from the level of a deity that at some point someone has simply had too much? Is it not unfair then for so here the age of accountability states that pretend I don't know what the age is, 8. In our religion, the age of accountability starts at 9. So someone who lives until, I don't know, 13, well, they've only got 4 years of stuff that they could have screwed up. But someone who lives to 103, they're kind of at a disadvantage, aren't they? There's a lot more stuff going on in their life that could turn them wayward. At some point, is it really all that fair to the person who lives so long? All of this time, post 9 years old, where they are accountable for sin, but whatever the age is, you understand what I'm saying. Although I think it's 6. For some reason, the age of 6 is sticking in my brain. That it, in some religions or whatever, 6 years old is when you are accountable for sin. But there's also this idea. In Puritan and early Protestant theology, especially among Calvinists, this idea became emotionally complicated. Calvinism teaches predestination, that God has already chosen the elect, but it also stresses the pervasiveness of sin in the world. So, if you are predetermined to go to heaven or to hell, what is the point in all of this dallying about? What is the point of being on this earth so long when really your time on this earth is but a speck of dust in the storm of eternity, right? I remember one of my earliest memories, and this probably tells you a lot about the person that I am. One of my earliest memories is really, I don't know how old I must have been based on sort of where I remember this happening. If this is a real memory of the setting, I must have been like 4 years old. 3 or 4 years old. I know I was pre-kindergarten. Is bawling my eyes out because I sat down and I started thinking about forever. And man, at some point, don't you just get tired of it? At some point, don't you just want it all to stop? You mean I didn't choose to be born, and now I have to be around forever? Now, how much worse is that? If it is predetermined before you ever even were around that you were going to hell. You had no choice. You had no say. You were born without your heart, without your soul ajar. You were born closed off. You were born in sin and unable to pray your way out of it. Wouldn't that just be your luck? This poem from Emily Dickinson is another example of the fact that she was so good at turning things on their head. The question is age old in religion. You've heard of limbo. What happens if a child dies unbaptized? They go to limbo. Well, where does this idea come from? Catholic Church needed to raise some money, man. That idea has been around forever. I think this is the first time I've heard anyone question it from the other side. Is it all that fair if someone really sticks around too long? That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.